Hello folks, I'm Scott Grove. We're going to go today through all the basics from the very beginning of how to play country bass guitar. Okay, there are a whole lot of things we have to learn before we get right into the lessons. Those are going to be your music theory. I'll blast through it. That's the lovely thing about rewind. Anyway, you have to learn these things. If you can count to 8, we can play bass guitar. I'm going to make it that easy on you. No reading music, no nothing. I'm going to take you through the basics. You've got this. I'm going to grab the fancy drum machine here. Okay, we're going to go from the very beginning of the root and fifth standard bass lines, which are basically this. That type of thing. Then we're going to work on how to get from one chord to another and use a slightly fancier style of that root fifth. For example, this. Okay, after we get those basics, I'm going to teach you how to do those. That's the primary basis for country bass guitar. We also have your walking patterns. I'll get you a swing pattern. Okay, it's kind of a swing shuffle pattern. And your basic walk line would sound like this. Get that basic thing. Okay, the other thing we're going to show you is a full-blown walking pattern and all these little pickup notes to get you up to the next chord. Your job as a bass player is basically to direct the rest of the band. By what you're playing, you're letting them know that you're going to another chord. Such as if you're playing in the key of C, I'll show you from the basics how to find these keys. Okay, just by that little push, that's your job to let the rest of the band know. They hear that, and that lets them know that you're climbing up to the next chord and what chord it will be. They will recognize what chord you're getting ready to switch to because you are guiding them through. Okay, your other walking bass lines that I will show you is kind of a boogie woogie bass line. You've got this type of a pattern, and yes, you will learn this today. Show you those too. So anyway, that's basically what we're going to be showing you, and we're going to go from square one, assuming that you've never even picked up a bass guitar before. So we're going to teach you through the basics, the fundamentals you have to have for about the first 10 minutes, and you must learn all this stuff. Then we're going to teach you all the fun stuff and get you on the road to the country thing. Remember, the only thing better than country music is playing country music. So anyway, here we go. Have fun. Okay, kiddies, here's what we're going to do. First of all, we have to establish all the parts of our bass guitar. This one here is a standard 4-string bass. Of course, they offer 5-string basses, which have one string even lower. And they have 6-string basses, which have a higher one. They have 8, 12, 16, 24-string basses. Anyway, actually, we're just going on the standard 4-string bass, which is more than likely what you're using. As far as all the knobs on your bass, primarily you're going to have a volume knob and a couple of tone knobs. As far as bass players go, generally the best rule of thumb, leave everything on your guitar wide open. Make any adjustments you need on your amplifier. Bass players, unlike guitar players, do not do a whole bunch of soloing. So you're basically on one setting all night long, which is the beautiful thing in its simplicity. So for the best sound, keep all your knobs wide open. Okay, right here's the pickup. Some of you will have more. This here's actually a magnetic device that actually picks up the vibrations of your strings, which amplifies them. the bridge back here in the back. And all the way at the top, you've got the nut. Okay, that's actually where your bass guitar begins. Okay, we have to do this. Number one, we have to tune up. Best thing to do is go out there and get yourself an electronic tuner. They're about 15 bucks these days. Couple $100 back in my day, they're down to $15 nowadays. Anyway, go get you one of those. It's the best way to make sure you're in tune. Until then, on your low E string, the bottom, big thick one right up here. Okay, you're actually going to tune with your tuning gears. You're going to tighten it up to raise the pitch, loosen it to lower the pitch. So you have to match it up to mine. And if you ever have to loosen a string, give that string that you loosened a tug. It takes the stretch out of it. Generally for tightening you don't have to do that, but after you loosen it, take the stretch out of it, tune it below what you need to, and then tune up to the correct pitch. So we're starting on our low E string. Going to the next string down is your A string. The next string below that, your third one down, is your D string. And finally your G string all the way down here at the bottom. Now you may notice that my strings are nice and bright. I use what are called elixir strings. They have a thin coating on them. What makes strings go dead is the oils and sweat and dirt in your hands getting between the windings on your strings. The elixir strings, they do not allow this to happen. So I would suggest getting some elixir strings. They're pricey, but then again they will last you a long time. If you have old strings on it, your bass is going to sound like this, whereas mine sounds, that's a good sound. Otherwise, if they were dead, they would not sound this good. Okay, so that's just a little pointer. Okay, now what we also have are the frets on our guitar. That's the metal things you see going across the neck here. Okay, we're going to be referring to these. Okay, here is the nut. You've got your first fret, second fret, third fret, which usually has a dot or something on it. Fourth, fifth, you see another dot. Sixth fret, seventh fret, eighth, blah blah blah, all the way up. You'll generally have two dots at the 12th fret. 12th fret is where your guitar starts over again. So if you have a G string, that's a G note. If you actually go all the way to that 12th fret, that's a G string and a G note again. So your whole guitar starts over. It's just like the nut is here, but it's like if you basically started your guitar here. So you G, G, just everything's an octave higher. Okay, now to find out what notes we're playing, I'm going to blast through this real quick. Again, the beauty of rewind. All the notes are actually A through G. Okay, so we've got, let's go to our A string, which is your second one down from the top. So you've got A. Okay, quickly pointing out while you're seeing here, I am playing with my fingertips, not a pick. A pick is for guitar players. Okay, so throw the pick away. And you're always going to be playing up. None of this thumb stuff where you're going down like that. That's not allowed. Okay? So it's always fingers, generally these two fingers. And they are almost always picking upward. So it's the tip of your finger. That's the way we play this thing. Okay, so on your A string, you've got A. Now, what we have is a very concrete rule. If you figure A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay, there are sharp and flat notes between most of those. The only ones that do not have them are between E and F. There are no sharps, no flats. And between B and C. So we'll go up the neck. So here's A. If you take a finger, like your first finger, and put it on the first fret, you're not doing it directly on top of the fret. You want to put it slightly behind it, as close to it as you can without getting on top of it. You're only going to push down as hard as you have to so that it does not make fart noise. That's actually what we call it, is a fret fart. If you don't push hard enough, you get that. If you play too far behind it, you get that too. So you want to play close to it, push down hard enough, just hard enough that the note rings clean. And you want to use the tip of your finger. No other part, none of this sideways stuff. You want to use the tip. Okay, so you have A on that string. The first fret is A sharp. Everything's going to be sharp as we move up the neck. It is called flat if we're moving down. So you have A, first fret, A sharp. The next fret up, close to the fret, B. So you went A, B, you had a sharp in between. If we were going backwards, if you're in B, and you go down, what was A sharp is now called B flat. It's exactly the same note, it just refers to the fact that you're going backwards instead of forwards. So you've got A sharp, B, no sharps or flats between B and C, so the next fret up is C. C sharp, the next one up, you're on a dot again, D, next one up, D sharp, next one up is E, no sharps or flats between E and F, so E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, you're back to your double dots, your guitar starts over, so you're back to A. This here is something only that practice and time will teach you. So on all your strings you've got A. Now try to do all the notes without sharps or flats. So you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Now I'm showing you this on the A string because everything's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. After G sharp it begins at A again. So if you're on your E string, your low one, your big thick one, you're starting from the alphabet that way. E, first fret, F, again because there's no sharps or flats between E and F, and B and C. So you got F, skip over, G, skip, you're back at A. Okay, when you're tuning your guitar, that's the place you tune it at. You actually play A there, and the A string underneath it. And make sure that those two notes match up. Same with the D string. You actually play A, B, C, D, and then the D string. Make sure those notes match up. Same thing down, you're on the D string. D, E, F, again no sharps, G, then your G string. Make sure those two notes match up. That's how you tune this thing. Okay, anyway, so practice all your notes. Learn basically where your actual plain old chord names are at, your note names. A, B, C, D, and same on all the strings. D, there's the D string, E, F, G, A, on your G string, G, A, B, C. Again, nothing's going to teach you how to do that other than time. So you must memorize those. Okay, so we're going to get into the basics now. We've got the root fifth pattern, which I showed you earlier. I'll get the drum machine. Okay, so what we're going to show you now is this. Okay, that's your basic country pattern. Okay, but right before we get to this, we have to teach you the Nashville number system. Okay, we were actually in the key of C. What makes that the key of C? Where we started at. Okay, so we're on our A string on the third fret. A sharp, B, C. So we are in the key of C. Okay, the Nashville number system is very, very important. It's the basis of all music, period. Okay, we're going to teach you that real quick, how to count to 8, then we're going to get right back to this. Okay, we're starting on that 3rd fret. Now we're going to use your pinky on the 5th fret. Same string. Okay, so we're in the key of C. That is our root note. Root means the actual chord that everybody's playing right then. Now we're going to count up to 8. 1, 2, okay, 1, 2. Now we're going to the D string on the 2nd fret. That's going to be 3. Okay. Now we're going with the middle finger on the 4th fret on the D string. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going 5. Pinky on the 5th fret of the D string. This is going to take some practice. Everything does. Here comes number 6. So you're on the 2nd fret of the G string. Going to 7. You're on the 4th fret on the G string. And now 8 is 5th fret with the pinky on your G string. The old do re mi thing, but it's extremely, extremely important. And backwards. Work on this backwards. That's all I'm going to show you on that for right now, but that is the basis of everything. So how that pertains here is we're in the key of C. We're going to do our root 5th thing. Okay, if you noticed, when you got to 8, that is the same note you started with, just an octave higher. Okay, so it's always going to look like that. So you actually got a note, you're skipping a string and going to the other string. So you're on the A string, playing a C note. Now you're on the G string, on the 5th fret, playing another C note. So there's a string in between that's not being played. That's your D string. Now it's always going to look like that. If you're playing any note, I don't care where it is. If it's here, 5th fret on the D string. How do you find that note again? Go an octave lower, skip a string, and they're always going to be 2 frets apart from each other. But you're just going to be skipping the string, so it's the same notes. Remember that. Extremely important. Okay, so for our root 5th thing I was talking about, what is a root 5th? Okay, reason this is called this, here's your root, we're in the key of C. Now we have to play a 5th, which could be this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'd be playing 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. But typically, country music, it will have that. I'll show you where. Since you have that note, you usually want to hear that, which is what we want to get. So you went 1, 5, 1, 5. Okay, we want the lower one. So that again, then 2 frets behind it, skip a string, you get the low one. So you can use that. That is a 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 again. So we're just looking at 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. If you notice, I'm only using one finger to play this with. It's all up strokes. Again, if you're too far away from the fret or not pushing hard enough, it's going to get that fart noise. So always close to the fret, but not directly on it. And again, only enough pressure to make the note happen. Okay, so that's our root 5th. What else can we do with that? We have to go up to the next chord. Generally, a country song is 1, 4, and 5. Meaning, if we're in the key of C, 1, then 4. That's going to be usually the next chord in a country song. And then all of a sudden you stay there in 4. Now you use the root 5th again. Your 5th note is always going to be above your root. So you're here, then go right above it. There's your 5th. It's always going to be there. It will never change. Okay, so now we have we're in the key of C. The chord changes. Now we go up to the 4. Now we're going back to the 1. Now we got to go to the 5th chord. There's usually 3 chords in a country song for the most part. A 1, 4, and 5. If you're playing any old country song, it's going to be that way. The newer stuff, most of your Alan Jackson type stuff is that way. So you've got 1, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking at 1, 4 is always going to be right down from it. And 5 is always going to be up 2. So 1, drop it down to 4, up 2 to 5. And we're going to do that root 5th thing on each of these. So we're in the key of C. We're going to the 4 chord. Going to the 5 chord. Back to 1. Okay, so that's how we get around 1, 4, and 5 chords. If we're in a different key, it's going to apply exactly the same. If we're in the key of D up here, what made that D? We're on the 5th fret of the A string. A, B, C, D. You've got to go back and learn those for sure. So you're in D, so you automatically know, okay, I'm playing in the key of D. This song probably only has 3 chords. So it's going to have a 1, the 4 is always going to be straight down, and the 5 is 2 more up. So we've got, those are going to be the 3 chords in the song more than likely. So we can just do the root 5th thing in D. So that's your root 5th, how to do that. Now there is something else we have to do here. We have what's called a hiccup. I'm going to go back down to C, because it's nice and easy and it's in the screen. Okay, a hiccup. Your bass player, you have to follow what the bass drum does. So you're playing, if the bass drum goes boom, 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 your job is to accent each of those notes. So you would actually go, doing boom, 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 boom. So you're actually hitting that one note again, your root note, right before you switch to your 5th. Now, okay, that's what's called a hiccup. We got to work on that one. Another thing we have to do is get from a way that's not so boring to get up to that 4 chord. That's where we have what's called a walk. Okay, your walk is nothing more than that 1, 2, 3, 4 stuff I showed you. So you're in 1. You're going to walk up to the 4. Which simply means play 1, 2, 3, 4. You play every note. So if we do that, we've got this, walking up from this 1 up to the 4. Okay, so nothing more there than going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, so we're in the key of C, doing the root 5th. We're going to throw in a hiccup. Walk up. Now we want to do that same thing, but walk back down to it. Same notes you played when you were walking up. So you're here on the 4 chord. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. So you've got this. Walk. Now we're going to go, instead of the 5 way up here, we know the 5th is this low note, so we're going to walk that from the C down to it. So we're going to use the same pattern we did coming off this 4 chord. We're going to go the same. So you're just walking down to it, exactly the same as you did before. So when we was doing, we're going to walk down Now we have no other lower note to play our fifth, so we have to go for the one that's higher. Again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got on the E string, here your G note, 3rd fret. Fifth is going to be, same as always, down and up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we get down to this, there's our fifth. Now we're going to walk back up. Exactly the same pattern. It will never change on you. Learn that one. It's 100% important. So again, slowly play along with me. I'm going to go from the 1 up to the 4, back to the 1, down to the 5, using the walks and the hiccups. 2, 3, 4. Walk up. Walk down. Walk down. Walk up. Okay, so it's basically that easy. I'm going to play this through at the drum machine one time. Let you play the pattern with me a couple times just to get used to how to play this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's basically it as far as that. Like I said, go get yourself some music. Like I said, Alan Jackson mainly for the contemporary or the classic country sound as far as nowadays. Otherwise, get yourself some Merle Haggard, some Waylon Jennings, some of the good old classics, pretty much by anybody. You can find out what key the song is in by listening to the chords going by. You can almost just slide a note until it lands on what sounds right. So you've got, like, say, this note. You keep hearing that song. Okay, how do you find that? You're going to grab a string and try to slide up until a note matches it. Okay, that sounds like the note, so you actually need to start there. And generally, that's all that's going to be in those old songs, or a lot of the new ones, is 3 chords. And it's always going to be the root, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. You just got to listen to the bass player, and he'll actually walk to those. And by what he's walking, you know he's getting ready to go to that 4 chord. If he's getting ready to go back to that 1, you hear this. If he's going to the 5, you're going to hear another walk. Okay, so listen to those old ones, play along. Okay, we're going to go on to something else. Anyway, like I said, again, the beauty of rewind. You must learn that 1 through 8 thing and learn the notes on your guitar. Again, I showed you how to do that, and also there's plenty of resources all over the internet, wherever you can actually learn each of the notes. But again, you've got A, B, C, D, whatever on each string. You got your low E string, E, F, again, no sharps. F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, again no sharps, B, C. Just learn the notes, memorize those. That's just part of this. Okay, I'm going to give you some more stuff here that you can learn off of. What we're going to do now is the typical walk, which is so simple. If you have memorized your Nashville number system now, this scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, forwards and backwards. Okay, now we're going to do, like I said, your typical walk, which is going to be this. Okay, you hear that all the time. What it is, we're going to go in the key of A. We have an A string here, but in order to accomplish this, you'll see why. We're going to go start on the A note on this low E string. So you've got E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. A is here at your second dot, or the 5th fret. Same as your A string. Okay, so this is 1. This is the key we're going to be in now. So there's 1, there's 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. That pattern will never change. None of these patterns will ever change. You only have to learn a few basic patterns, and you can start playing this thing. Okay, so we're in the key of A, using your first finger, low E string on the 5th fret. Okay, for this walk is going to be, okay, actually we're going to use our middle finger this time because of the way this walk is laid out. So middle finger, low E string, 5th fret. Okay, we're actually just playing notes from that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scale thing we did before. We're going to play the 1, 3, 5, 6, okay? 1, 3, 5, 6. Again, to find those notes, 1, 2, 3. We're not going to do the 4, we're not going to do the 2. 1, there's 2, you don't need it. 3, 4, don't need it. 5, 6. So you need 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay? The only other one in here is we're actually going to do what's called a flatted 7th. Because your 7 would normally be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're actually going to do a flatted one, which means go behind it once. So we're going to go 1, 3, 5, 6, flat 7th. And backwards. Okay, again. 1, 3, 5 with your pinky. Big stretch. 6. Flatted 7th. 6, 5, 3, 1. 1, 3, 5, 6. Flatted 7th. 1, 3, 5, 6. Flatted 7th. Backwards. Okay. So it's going to be a lot of stretching on this part. Now it's always going to look like that. You memorize the way this looks. Because no matter where you play it, it's always going to look exactly like that. If you were to play it way up here, it's still going to look like that. Exactly. 1, 3, 5. So wherever you start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's always, that pattern's always the same from here forever. You got to learn one little scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. That thing. 1, 3, 5, 6, flatted 7. Okay. So with that said, you've got 1. Now we got to go to the 4 chord. Where's the 4 chord again? It's going to be exactly where it always is. Straight down. Now you start the whole thing over again there. Exactly what I showed you before. So we have, here we are in the key of A. We're playing in 1. Now we got to switch up to the 4 chord. The whole band's going to switch to D now. So you got to go to the 4 chord, which just means you just got to do the exact same thing. Just drop it down 1 string and play the same thing again. They're going back to the 1 chord, back to the A. Now they're going to go to the 5. Oh no, what do? Same as before. Where's the 5 at? There's 1, you know that. Drop down, there's 4. 5 is 2 more ahead of it. 1, 4, 5. So you start right there with your middle finger. Same thing. Okay, so I'm going to show you with the drum machine going from 1 to 4. Back to 1, up to 5. I'm going to play that just that much. Then I go to the 5, then I'm going to go to the 4. Play just that much of it again. We're leaving out the last note, and then back to the 1. So here's how that is. Okay, it's going to be slow. 2, 2, 3, 4. Stay in there on the 1. Go onto the 4. Back to the 1. 5, 4, 1. Okay, so you can see how that starts to come together. Now, with the timing of drums, sometimes you can't finish the whole scale, which is fine. You just stop in the middle of it, just like I did with the 5. 4, 1. You just stop wherever you're at when it's time to change to get exactly back to the next chord. Okay? Okay, so that there is a must. Another thing we're going to work on is basically that same thing. We're going to do it in an open string thing. We're going to stay in the key of A. I'm going to show you how to do this open. Okay? So here's your A string. Your second one from the top. So do the same thing again in an open position, which is basically you're only going to be in the key of A, D, and E. So here's A. Okay? There's your 3. Now how we find this now is same thing. 1, 2, 3. It's in the same place it was before. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so open is slightly different, but it's still the same scale. 1, 3 is going to be on the 4th fret of your A string. There's your 5 is the 2nd fret of the D string, so you've got 6 is the 4th fret on the D string. Here's that flat of 7th if you just move up 1. Okay, so now what we've got here is the same pattern exactly, but we're going to lend it to something a little more complicated. We're actually going to stick in 2 different notes here. So from the 1, open, instead of going to your 3, you're going to do this. Okay, you're going to be using your ring finger on the 4th fret, like we always do. That's your 3. But what we're going to do is get one note before it. We're going to do what's called a hammer-on. So with your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, play it. And we're just going to slam down our ring finger onto the 4th fret up to the 3rd. Hitting at one time with our finger down here. So actually playing that one, slamming that one down. So you're creating a roll. Okay, so now what I want you to do is hit your A string twice, and then that roll. Okay, then what we're going to do is finish out the rest of the lick, or the run. Everything's going to be doubled now with this, with your right hand. Okay, so the only note that's not doubled is where we're doing this, is counting as 2 notes. Okay, so that's another way to do that, but it's a little fancier way to do it. And now we're going to add something different. Instead of hitting that flat of 7th, we're going to actually hit an 8 or a 1. Okay, which is actually just your A note again, because we're getting all the way up to 8. Okay, so instead of that note, we're going to be doing this. So your 2nd fret on the G string. So slowly, So now if we just play the single notes, it's still a very usable and widely used lick. And the way we use these, I'm going to show you that last one first, with one note each on your right hand. For 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now what happens when we go to the next note? Same thing as before, we're in open strings, but okay, you're playing that A. Where's your 4 now? It's still the same place it was before, directly down. You're still not fretting anything when you're playing the root note, so you don't play anything when you switch to the 4 chord. So now we're going to do the same thing by switching here. Okay, now we run out of strings to finish that lick. So we're just going to play as much of it as we can, then go backwards to finish up the phrasing, or the same amount of time. So slowly, here it is on the 1. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Same as we were doing before. Now we're going to switch to the 4, and we're going to run out of strings. Back to 1. Okay, so all I did was play as much of the lick as I could, but I just played it twice just to fill in the space. So in key on the D, when we went to the 4 chord and played that lick, you just play as much of it as is allowed, because there's no other string down there to play. Okay, when we switch to the 5, where's the 5? We can either go, so 1, 4, up 2, or if you think about it, like I showed you before, we don't want to go up higher, we want to go lower, get that mean bass sound. That's why we play bass, because we love that low sound. So how do you do it? You skip a string and go back 2. So you're here on the D string, you skip this next string, the A string, and you're here on the E string, you got to go back 2, which leaves you open again. So you're going to do the same thing you've been doing, but starting on this E string. So same pattern. So you've got 1 here. 1 still. We're going to 4. We run out of strings. 1, 5. 1. Okay, so that is your open walking pattern. Again, you could do it with the 2 thing. Try every now and then alternating fingers so it's not just this one all the time. You'll develop ways to do that. As you can see, there's no set pattern, just whatever works for you. Okay, I'm going to show you that one more time with the drum machine. So we'll start off in the 1 in the key of A. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1. We're going to the 5. 1. Okay, so you see how that works. Okay, another thing we can do is only play half of it. And this here's where it gets fun. Let's take this for example. We're only playing half of the lick we've been playing. We're going to double everything. Okay? Instead of that twice, come back to it. Okay? So here's what we get when we go 1, 4, 5, whatever. Okay, now we're getting into something speedy. That's why this is dang near at the end of the lesson. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 5, 4, 1. Okay, so what I did there, you're like, well, what was that thing at the end? That's the walk that you already knew from the beginning from going. It's just another 1, 2, 3, 4, or backwards, 4, 3, 2, 1, while you're doing these other kind of things. So if I have to take, let's do that same thing but a little slower. And I'll show you how those walks fit in with the little climbs that come up. So you're in A, and a 1. There's one of your walks. So we're walking into it. If we're doing the same thing we were doing before, and we want to walk to it, here comes our walk. So we're in A, playing our 1. We're getting ready to go to the D, but we want to walk up. Okay, so there you just see how we incorporate just the 1, 2, 3, 4 walk that we did back at the very beginning of this lesson. So those are the basics. We have also a little something for you. Let's do a little thing with octaves. Again, what the octave was, let's say we're in the key of, let's go to D, we'll do something different. We were in C at the beginning, so we're on the A string. How do we get to D? There's a sharp, up one more is D. So C sharp, D, it's just basically the next letter in the alphabet. Okay, so you're in D. How do we find the octave? Again, it's just the 8 of your scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the one where we're skipping the strings. So basically, you use your first finger, and then your pinky, skip a string, up 2. So you've got those 2. Here's where we're going to use our thumb. This here's just like a little bonus lesson. Everything else is what we've been doing. But right now, we're going to use our thumb. We're going to pick down on the A string, and then with your middle finger you're going to pull up Okay, so you got those 2 notes going. Okay, why I'm showing you this was used on a lot of old like Waylon stuff, and they still use it today just to get a little bit of funky stuff going into your country music. Country music is changing, you got to keep up with the times. Okay, so we're in the key of D. The fun little rule here is, it defies all explanation, but it works and people love this thing. Okay, you're in D. We're going to do that same thing, and we're going to go down 3 whole frets. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's the rule, is backward 3 frets. So you're going to keep those fingers spaced the same. thumb, middle finger, next fret up, next fret up, right back to where it was. Okay? I'm moving these fingers out of the way. Don't play like that. I'm just showing you how it is. You'll just look like this. Okay, so that's the lick we're going for. Again, I'm going to keep these fingers out of the way just to show you. Okay, you'll hear that in some of the old country stuff, and it's became extremely usable in all the dance stuff of today. If you actually want to get that sound that they're using in other styles of music, you take your thumb and you slap it against that A string. Then you really pull that G string up. So that there's just a little insight to some fun. Same thing if you just want to make that same sound, but go up 3 frets and back to where you were. That's just a little exercise, a little something fun to get you prepared for what you're going to need to have later on. But anyway, that's basically it. Again, go all the way back to the beginning of this thing. Study, study, study. These are the basics. You'll never have to learn them again. Once you got these things in your head, everything else will come to you. But these are the absolute essentials, must have, before you can do anything else. Again, you've got your root 5th, walk up to your 4th, walk back down, walk again. Okay, you've got your basic walk. Okay, you've got your double walk. Well, we're doubling the strings. These are the basics for country music, as far as bass playing goes. Again, grab some old songs, play along with them. Find out what key they're in. Search for the key. It's generally always going to be a 1-4-5 pattern if it's country music. That's the way it's always been written, and hopefully that's the way it'll stay. If there's going to be any other chords in it, if there's something in there it's not a 1-4-5, it's going to be one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 6. They will have a 1, they will have a 4, they will have a 5. Every now and then there's a strange chord. It might be the 2, hardly ever the 3, and a 6 happens a lot too. So the 2 and the 6 tend to happen. So if there's any other chords in there, try the 2 or the 6. I guarantee that will be the one you're looking for. Anyway, so thanks for hanging out with me. Enjoy these. Learn them, learn them, learn them. And welcome to Country Music Bass Guitar. You guys have been great. I've had a lot of fun doing this. And we'll catch you next time on the more advanced DVD. Anyway, I'm Scott Grove. Take care. Bye.